I've been saying for quite a while that I've been waiting for things to sell in this series, and finally I've made a few sales, and I'm going to show you those in just a second. I also go back to the boot sale, find some pretty interesting things as well as a pickup, but first I just want to show you something that I've picked up that isn't really part of the series. I am going to put it in the display, but I'm not really going to count it. This was £2 in a boot sale. I don't have any footage because as I was walking out of the boot sale, it caught the corner of my eye. I've been waiting to pick one up for a while. It is Subbuteo. This is an absolute classic of epic proportion, and it does have a little flap that you can raise up here, and it is complete and in reasonably good condition. There are several varieties of Subbuteo from different eras, and you can get different sets, you can get different teams, you can get them painted in certain ways. I'm not sure they make them anymore, but I used to have one as a kid and I absolutely loved it. I bruised many a finger flicking those little fellas around the pitch. Can't really set it up, unfortunately, because I have 4 cats and they will not allow you to play Monopoly, let alone Subbuteo, but it will go on the shelf. Bit of pride of place. I just wanted to show you that you don't always have to go to car boot sales to pick up video games. You can pick up all sorts of different things there, and that for £2. It's not a massive bargain. If I wanted to resell it, I probably could get between 10 and 15, but I am going to keep it. So, some sales. Let's get into our first sale then. I've actually got 3 to discuss. One of them has literally just happened. I've been discussing with the buyer for the last hour. I've had to go to eBay to sort of once things over with them. However, it has finally sold, and it's a big boy, not for as much as I wanted, but there is a reason behind it. Now, let's get into the first one. So last week, of course, picked up some strategy guides from a subscriber, sent them to me, well, not sent them, but sold them to me on the cheap, and I have sold one. It is the most desirable one, and it's the Dark Souls 3 strategy guide. This sold for £35, which pays for the entire bundle and then some, and it went to a buyer in Italy, I believe, through the GSP on eBay, which is the global shipping program. That means I send it to somewhere in Leeds. It's like an eBay sorting office. They redistribute that overseas, so I don't have to deal with any of like the customs and all that nonsense. So there we go. We finally have some money to go back into the series. Of course, when I buy things in this series, I deduct it from the balance. So the balance that you had on screen was the actual balance like that we were minus whatever it was, and now we can add £35 to it. Now I know you're thinking, what about fees? Yes, that is a bit of a problem, or it would be a bit of a problem, because we didn't actually pay much of any fee on this, because for the last month and a half, maybe even 2 months, eBay have had 100% off selling fees. It ended on the 15th of April, but providing you listed an item within the window that they had, so it was like between the end of February and 15th of April, whenever that item sells, it would have sold with 100% off. So even though it ended 15th of April, I listed it within that window, it sold after that period, but still it doesn't matter, I get 100% off the fee. However, I did promote this, not heavily, but fairly heavily. It was 6% promotion, so we paid a 6% fee, so the updated figures are on screen for you. Very boring, but I thought in the interest of transparency, that's the amount of money we now have in the series, but that's not the only sale I've made. I did end up selling the PlayStation 4 20th anniversary controller as well, and that actually sold like the same day or the day after as that Dark Souls guide. That sold for £28, again within that 100% off fee, although I did promote it by 6%, and there were a few other things on top of that as well. So I'm going to add the money that we've made from that, the profit, well, all of the money really, because it's all going to be profit from here on out, to the balance. So now we've gone from being minus whatever it was to we have a bit of money to play around with, which is finally nice to see. It's been a long time coming, and we do still have an awful lot of things to sell. Still got the Exeter City football shirts, still got those trainers, the really expensive New Balance ones that we picked up for a tenner in a charity shop, amongst a few other things as well, of course, the rest of the guide, the Batman guide, the Batman game. And one of those that I've just mentioned has sold, but I'll get there after we go to the boot sale. So the first stall I came to, this was actually last week, not Weekend Just Gone. Weekend Just Gone was a bit of a banger, that's coming up soon. I found these PlayStation 4 games. There was a Cartoon Network style game, Terraria was there, as well as a few others, and I asked how much. Now, I do have the audio for this. They weren't her games, she was selling them probably for her brother or something, who couldn't be asked to get up that early in the morning, so here is the audio now. How much for the games?
I have to see.
Right, okay.
They're not my ones. Which one's that, sorry?
The Cartoon Network one?
Yeah, That one's £8.
Okay.
And as you heard, it was £8. That is £3 over the CEX price to pay for this Cartoon Network Battle Crashers game. I knew nothing about it, but it's a game that I don't see that often. I knew it wasn't worth more than a tenner, so when she said 8, I was like, well, no, I'll just leave it alone. Now, I didn't ask the price of the other games, because if she's charging £8 for Cartoon Network Battle Crashers, there's no way she's going to let me have Terraria for £2. Terraria there is the most expensive game at a tenner, but to be honest, it's not a game that I want in my collection. So it would be one that I would be buying to sell or indeed trade into CEX. And I didn't think there would be enough in it. I would literally have needed to have bought that game for like £2 or £3 to make it worthwhile. So unfortunately, I walked away. This next one is and was pretty tempting, but unfortunately the condition of this was not great. So it's a bit difficult to see because the camera work is absolutely terrible. But there is a Wii here with some remotes and a lot of games. And there were some decent games in there, you know, like the new Super Mario Brothers game there. That is around a £20 game. The remotes can go for money. Of course, the console can obviously sell for a little bit. There was Wii Sports Resort, and a few others that you can see on top there. Unfortunately, the condition of that disc was horrendous. And off camera, because I didn't walk away straight away, I did have a look through a couple of the other games because I wasn't going to leave it there if just one of the games was in good enough condition, because I think there was a Mario Kart there as well, if memory serves. Now, the cover of Mario Kart was sun faded quite heavily, and I looked at the disc, and again, it had like ring burn around it. The other ones had a lot of scratches. It was not very well looked after. They only wanted £20, which might sound like a great deal, because that Mario game by itself, the new Super Mario Brothers game, is £20 in CEX, or at least it was the last time I checked, and it still is because I've just checked again. So that does sound like a great deal, but the discs are in such bad condition that I don't even think cleaning them with a disc cleaner would have made much of any difference at all. If the discs were in as poor condition as they were, was the machine even working? That's the question I was asking myself, and I didn't want to be just lumbered with a bunch of scratched games that I couldn't do anything with. So I decided on this occasion, I'm not going to bother, I don't want the hassle, and I walked away. I walked up and down a fair few times. There was like a lot of rows. Very, very busy boot sale. I couldn't tell you how many cars were there, but there was double the amount of sellers that there normally are, and it's normally a big boot sale anyway. So I've walked up and down all the aisles, and when I came back around for my other loop, it was still there. So there are many other people who had the exact same thoughts as me. I didn't feel as bad when I walked back up and I still saw it there. Some games on the floor here which were quite tempting. A lot of FIFAs, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure that did say 2 games for £2 or something. Battlefield 1 there would have been tempting. Stormrise maybe tempting. Crew on the 360 is not really something I'm interested in. I did look at Battlefield 1, I did consider it, but I did leave it on this occasion. I mean, they're cheap enough anyway, right? And then next all up had a Guitar Hero guitar. Unfortunately, it was a PlayStation 1, so it needs the dongle. Didn't have it, and the back was sellotaped on, and then a random box of games and DVDs and books and things. So again, nothing, unfortunately. Next all along here, and it was a Rogue PlayStation 4 controller. There were a few red flags here that made me think that this wasn't genuine. The barcode on the back had been removed. It was in really good condition, but there were a few little things that I was a bit uneasy about. I asked the price, and he said, well, he's trying to get 15, but he would do it for 13, which is not a bad price to pay for a controller in perfect working condition, as long as it was genuine, of course. But I had my suspicions. Like I said, the barcode on the back was missing, despite the fact that it was in really, really good condition. That isn't a 100% sell that it is fake, because you can get people who just peel them off, because why not? But the buttons looked a little bit dodgy to me. He had some story about his PlayStation didn't want to update, so he just got rid of it, and that's just the controller that was left over. He might have been genuine, not saying he wasn't, but I didn't want to take the risk of having a fake controller, selling it to someone as genuine, and then it turned out to be fake, or opening it up myself, of course, and then realising that it was fake, and then I had like a fake PS4 controller that I essentially overpaid for. So the very next stall was a few 360 games, nothing too fantastic. A Classics Sonic Racing, another Terraria, the Day of Terrarias, and 007 Bloodstone was in there as well. There was a Call of Duty of sorts. I think I may have the audio for this. I kind of made a mistake in a way with this Sonic game. I mean, I did and I didn't, right? So I said, how much for these? And I think I got a price of £4. Like I said, if I have the audio, I'll pop it in.
How much for the games? £4 each.
Right, okay.
So they were indeed £4 each, which is not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. So the Sonic Sega All-Star Racing is £8 in CEX. So to pay half price for it here is pretty good. But it's classics. Now, the picture that they actually show on the CEX website is classics. So, I mean, I'm almost certain you can get this non-classics, right? Why would you not be able to? And I don't really want classics in my collection, so I didn't really want to buy it for £4. Trades in for £5, so yes, I could have made £1 trade profit, and I think you can get about £6 or £7 for it on eBay, so there wasn't enough there for me to warrant buying it, so I decided to leave it. The rest of the games were overpriced at £4. You can get them the same price or cheaper in CEX. And then we finally came to the pickup. This isn't anything fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but here it is. Riders Republic on the PlayStation 4. I said, how much do you want for the games? He was like, oh, well, which one? And of course, I just went for the only one that I knew was worth money.
On that one? £3.
The Call of Duty game that you see on screen to the right there is actually £6 in CEX, so if he'd said £3 for that one, then that would not have been a bad deal. I've got a funny feeling he would have done FIFA for like £1, maybe Call of Duty for £2, and as that Riders Republic was the most expensive one there, he said £3. I didn't actually ask the price of the other ones because they're not really worth an awful lot. However, £3 for this is not a bad price. In fact, it's a very good price. And this is where being lazy has indeed paid off, because when I bought this, it traded in for £6. But now that I've waited, it's actually gone up. They now sell it for £12, it trades in for £8. So I'm actually going to make a £5 trade profit off this game. And of course I already have this on the PlayStation 5, so there's no need for me to keep the PS4 copy, so that is a decent little profit, although we do have to take £3 off the cash balance in this series, which we can do now because we are flush. So let me get to that other item I sold before I have another flick through some of the things in the boot sale. The New Balance trainers that we picked up for a tenner in a charity shop quite a while ago now. Maybe it was about a month ago. I found these. They were brand new, even though some people have told me that they're not. But I have kind of altered the listing to say, look, they are brand new, but they're new with defects. They've got a little bit of wrinkle in here or there. Maybe they've been tried on, but they've never been worn outside, you can tell. Now, unfortunately, I wanted to sell these initially for between 130 and 160, which may sound like a lot of money, but at the time they were selling for in and around that price. The issue I had, of course, was the size. Men are not going to want to wear beige off-white leopard print New Balance shoes, and there aren't that many women with 9.5 feet who are looking for this one specific shoe. I had many messages telling me that I'd overpriced them and you can get them for £100 online, and whereas that is kind of true, it wasn't at the time, because if you went and had a look for a 9.5, you couldn't find them in stock anywhere, until this morning when ASOS had a restock. On the ASOS website right now, ASOS, I call it ASOS because it sounds better than ASOS. Anyway, you can buy them all the way up to a 12.5, which is just crazy, but still, they have them all in stock. Not one size is out of stock, but they do want £110. So that's my ceiling. I'm not going to get more than 110 because, of course, you can get them brand new from an official website. So I've had to reduce the price quite considerably, but I'm happy to report that I got £80 plus postage for these very ugly looking shoes. The long and short of it is I am getting a fee refund from eBay because I had to go through the live chat. That's what I was trying to sort out this morning. It took me about 45 minutes to make this sale go through, but eBay are going to refund me the fee because there was a problem on their end or whatever. However, they've gone £80. Now, I know a lot of people might be sniding at that and say, oh, I knew he wasn't going to get 140. I've still made £70 profit, 80 quid in my back pocket. I will add it to the balance in the series, which is now, I mean, that is just catapulted the profit in this series. We can now walk around and not have to worry about money in this series for quite a long time. And that does bring me to one final foray around the boot sale, and it is of course the games guy who has stacks and stacks of things on offer. Now, unfortunately, I am looking for one specific thing which he appears to never have any of. Before I started looking for promo games, I was almost certain I would be able to find them in boot sales. I thought they would be absolutely everywhere. And unfortunately, they are absolutely nowhere. I really don't understand what has happened since I've started looking for them. I just can't find them. There are a few games here that I would probably have made an offer on, actually. Like that Steelbook, I may have gone with an offer. He's got a couple now. I said that I was going to just wait until I find one in CEX. But I know with this guy in particular, he's very fair. If you say, you know, I've got these games, how much do you want? And he said, oh, I want like £6. You say, well, would you do 4? Would you do 5? He probably would say yes, to be fair. And there are quite a few games there that I don't have, like Dark Sector, for example, that's just staring me in the face. I don't have that. I don't have the original Saints Row, believe it or not. So I did put that to one side because I was going to. But at the time, I hadn't sold anything. So I was working off absolutely no money whatsoever. So I would have just sent the series into a free fall of minus at that point. So I decided not to bother buying anything on that occasion. However, he's there every week. I know I can just go back and pick things up, and that's exactly what I'm going to look to do now. I don't have to worry too much about the cash because we have it. And I know a lot of people will be saying, look, you have XX amount of profit in the series now. Go and put that towards your voucher. Go into CEX, pick up your console. Happy days, we can move on to the next thing. You're right, I could do that, but I'm not going to. There are a few reasons why I'm not going to. One, where's the fun in that? Be over too soon. The other one is I don't want to use cash. I want to try and make this as cheap as possible. I know this is now free money essentially, but at the end of the day, if I can make it even freer, is that a thing? Then I'm absolutely going to do that. If I can keep picking up things for £3, trading them in for 8, or even better than that, then I'm absolutely going to do it. And I have done it up until now. That's how we've acquired well over £100 in CEX voucher. The cash that we have in the series now can be used on picking up the odd Mega Drive game that I want for the collection, or indeed picking up things like Riders Republic that I can buy and trade into CEX, not have to worry about where the money's going to come from, because now it's all profit. In the next episode, I go back to the boot sale, and it's on the grass, baby. And if you've been watching it for a while, you know that as soon as they put it on the grass, for some reason I find things, and this was absolutely no exception. But look out for that. If you've been game hunting over the weekend, let me know what you managed to find. And if you want to check out another video from my series, you can click here. And until the next time, goodbye.